All right, friends, so the big moment came. The guy at the door with the summons. Oh, you're evicted. Yep, and the fine owner of this place hired the best in the business, and I knew that going against him wouldn't work a whole lot, especially since I have no leg to stand on because I've been here for 9 months, guys, without paying any rent because I haven't had any money to do so. And so let me say right away that I am not going to contest it. I'm going to leave. I already contacted the owner and told him I'm going to turn in the key in a couple of weeks. But anyway, yeah, so the big. And actually, I was thinking about fighting it because, as far as I know, they can't serve on an eviction for another few months. But the thing is that at this point in the pandemic panic, as it were, it's really not as bad as we had at first thought. I do think it is serious, but not so. The unknowns are a little bit more known now, and I'm not as terrified to go out. And going forward, it is going to be tough because there's no coffee shops open to charge anything, so I may not be able to make as long movies or as good movies or whatever, but or do it at all for maybe a little while unless I can find a way to sit down somewhere and power up because when you edit movies, you have to be plugged in for the amount of juice that it draws. And basically, I'm going to go. Luckily, I didn't sell my RV. I'm just going to go back and live in my RV and do the best that I can. And the reason that I got into this mess of now I owe this guy $20,000 and I have an eviction on my record and I'm homeless, unemployed, and hardly any money except for what a few of you nice people send me. So I when this pandemic hit, to be honest, I wasn't really afraid of the pandemic as much as, because there's a moratorium on evictions, well, maybe something will happen in the meantime. And looking back now, I blew it. I should have at the very least moved out in April, which that would have been 2 months not paying rent, and so, but I didn't. And then so the guy, like I said, they tried to evict me during that time several times. They gave me a 3-day notice. He sent me letters from his lawyer and so forth, but he never asked me to leave in particular. And that's kind of one point I wanted to bring up about this, which is that if that guy had it pretty much at any time except for right when I was the sickest with COVID, uh, I would have, if he had just asked, it said, "Look, could you please move out because I need the money for the rent," I probably would have. But first of all, right away, his manager called twice, and in that phone call, he said he wanted me to turn in the keys the next day, so not even 3-day notice. And the second time, I raised my voice with him, I will admit. But I was not rude at any other time. I always answered everything courteously and so forth and so on. But on the phone, I just raised my voice. I said, "You want me to go out and be homeless in this?" Because it was, we were right in the middle of the panic. We didn't know if, people are going to start dropping like flies or something. And I was, like everybody else, or at least some people, I was scared about what was going to happen quite a bit. So I, was getting mad that they're telling me to run out in the street right now. There's, and we have a shelter in place order, and so, but I understand that because the manager, they're trying to get their money. So, threats come with the territory and people don't listen to anything else or whatever. And the second mistake I make, so mistake number 2 was that I didn't communicate with the guy finally after so many letters and phone calls, and I did inform him that because of send him a letter saying because of the hardships of the pandemic, I lost financial income, blah blah blah. But I didn't communicate with him for 2 months after that, and my thinking at the time was that it's better not to remind this guy every single month that I'm living in this place for free. I figure hopefully he can just chill out and maybe something when the lockdown gets lifted and then something could happen and I could, maybe the HS or HB 6515 would pass that clears all debt of renters and mortgage payers. So I just, try to see if I could hang out until then. But it didn't work, and he hired Dennis P. Block, which is this guy's like famous in the business, and and plus, besides that, I mean, it's just that I'm staying here without paying. And I think I do have a few more months before he could serve on an eviction. I don't know. Maybe they can. In any case, I'm not gonna risk it. I looked it up and looked at my various options and everything. And the bottom line to it is that if I fought it, it would be living here while I'm fighting this legal battle to stay, and that's just a freaking nightmare. I do have an RV to retire to, and it's gonna really, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. No question about it. Anybody want to take in a homeless man here? A homeless rebel of Satan's empire? But no, I'm not holding my breath that, if it could have, maybe, who knows, maybe somebody, but usually it's somebody, like somebody wanted me to come up to, and it was a generous offer, by the way, I don't mean to poo-poo it, but somebody wanted me to come up to Canada and take care of an aging person, and then I could have, I could live indoors up there. And that's an idea and everything, but first of all, I'm skinny, as you can see. I can't stand the cold, and I really freeze up there in Canada. And people have suggested to, always constantly telling me, "Rich, get out of LA, man. That's Serpent City." I know it's Serpent City, man. I grew up here all my life, and I'm well aware of it, as you know. But I honestly don't think I'll be too much better off anywhere else. I mean, and because gang stalking victims, they have been targeted no matter where they go, so you're just gonna get that. And LA is my home. That's all I can say. It's my home. Okay, was it a reproof? Yes, I do think it was. I think the main thing was, as far as like right in particular, there was something that happened, which is that I did get some unemployment from the state, a pretty small amount. But I mean, I needed it desperately, and they have a COVID-19, at least California does for people that are unemployed that normally wouldn't qualify for unemployment, but they, gig workers and people like that. And I did file my taxes for 2019. Yeah, all $1,500 of it. Ooh, are you guys impressed? Are you guys impressed with my earning income? But I was getting a lot from my benefactor. So actually, I think the main reproof was, basically it comes down to stealing. I stayed here without paying, and I should have, and I get in debt. Now I owe this guy $20,000, and there's like a 90% chance he's going to sue me for it, and a good chance he'll get a judgment. And now I'm screwed. Who knows what might happen? And they could collect my cars, and take everything I own. I don't know. It could very well happen. I don't know. But I also owe the energy companies a lot, and I also have 2 more hits against my credit record. Now my credit's probably just going, because I had good credit before despite my poor status, but now it's just totally tanked out because I screwed not just 1 but 2 internet companies, ISPs, out of their money. I couldn't pay AT&T the $200 I owed them, and I couldn't pay Spectrum the $200 I owed them, and couldn't activate my service. I've been going up to the coffee shop for internet because I've been surviving like $20-$40 a week on what you guys have been giving me, and that's been it. Now I've got a little bit of unemployment, and the reason I said that it might have been a reproof of the unemployment that I was getting, because right after I got the unemployment and I got the money, I went and bought some food, and I brought it home in the fridge, and after I put the food away in the fridge, I get the doorbell, ding dong, and it's the guy at the door serving me with the summons that I'm being evicted. So, but actually, as I thought about it, I don't like to get too much into, because I didn't get the feeling that it was that, like it could have been, but I think it's really, it's certainly in my desperate situation as far as because I don't even have my registration paid. I've been driving around without insurance and registration, which is really bad. But, and I haven't been driving too far, just to the groceries and the coffee shop, just what I absolutely need to. But that's bad. And that's how little money I've had. I can't even pay the insurance, so I can pay the registration. And I could get, I don't know, you may get towed, or I don't know how bad it would be, a big old ticket I can't afford either right now. So, but I think it was more that I didn't leave when I should have. when I didn't have the money. And basically what's happened is I used the pandemic as an excuse to stay here, because hoping against hope that something would have saved me from the misery of homelessness, but it didn't. Okay, was the eviction wrong? No, I do think that the guy could have, if he had warned me, definitely, if he had warned me that he was going to sue over it and evict me, now and then I have a eviction on my record and everything, I definitely would have moved out, especially at this point now. But I didn't communicate with him for 2 months, and he had made some efforts. His manager had made some efforts, in my opinion, in an unprofessional way. If the guy had some kind of basic sympathy for the fact that there is a pandemic going on, then I wouldn't have been as mad as I was in that second phone call, and finally getting pissed at the guy and yelling him, and I didn't yell that loud or whatever, but I did use a little bit of language. But in any case, I mean, if they had said, look, we understand it's a pandemic and everything, but we got to pay the rent and so forth, I would have said, yeah, okay, yeah, and then work something out like a gentleman. But they weren't. He was just like, you turn on the keys the next day, you turn on the keys tomorrow, and I'm like, what? Is that not even 3-day notice? And and I knew that there was the moratorium on evictions, which by the way, as I said, I believe it's still in effect until January 31st, and then there's a month buffer, and then they can start to also on March 1st is when they can begin to collect on rent past due. So I owe the guy now $20,000, which is, I mean, I have nothing to pay for that. So, and I don't know, like I said, if they get a judgment for non-payment. Who knows? If they take everything, that would really, really be bad. But I'm in the Lord's hands. So whatever be. But actually, on the bright side, at least I'm not the lessor, the person who's renting out to somebody and then kicking somebody out of their home. And that makes it sound like I'm saying he's wrong, when there is a bit of that feeling. I mean, in terms of this worldly logic, he wasn't wrong. I mean, I might have done the same thing. I would have called the guy, or send him an email. He has my email, and we've emailed back and forth a few times. I would have at least emailed him and said, look, you got to move out, or I'm going to file for an eviction. But I think he was pissed. He might at this point think that he's just simply not going to get his money, so he figured just, at least I'll put an eviction, and that'll be his punishment. I don't know, but I mean, maybe his lawyer, Dennis P. Block, is telling him, okay, first you got to evict, and that's how you really screw him on the, because once you have an eviction, then you can also, and he was probably expecting me to fight, because I was, at least holding my own. I was saying, I'm not going to, allow you, because they wanted me to sign an agreement to pay and everything, and I didn't want to sign any additional agreements to pay, so I said, I'm sorry, and I was polite the whole time. I said, I just don't want to do that, and, so anyway, yeah, but actually, I do not regret moving in here. It was a great year and a half. Basically, during 2019, it was terrific, all until, of course, the pandemic came and everything. But it was a great and wonderful time. A break from, first of all, I've been homeless for 5 years straight, and if you've never tried it, it is quite hard, and there's a lot of emotional pain involved, a lot of physical discomfort, and a lot of things, a lot of fear, because all it takes is one little thing going wrong, and you could be without a vehicle, one little break-in, one breakdown, anything could happen, vandalism or something, and it could still happen anytime, and the risk is always there, and then you're really bumming. I mean, sleeping outside on the ground, and that's like the biggest fear, of because I've always, when I've been homeless, I've always had a vehicle, but that it could happen. Actually, though, this time here was really great, and part of what made it so great is that I fell in love, and like I said, I didn't think that was in the cards for me in this life. I didn't think that I would experience that. But I met someone who was very extraordinary, a Russian woman, and named Anna, as I told you. And I don't want to talk about her because she kind of likes her privacy, so I don't want to disturb that. But I really can't talk about my life without talking about her a little bit, just to tell you what happened. And a very special person. And by the way, I already had a more positive feeling about Russia just because they were like Russia and China, one of the few nations that are basically standing up to the U.S. Although I kind of hear now that there's really kind of a unified global conspiracy or whatever. You really can't understand anything that's happening here, but they're not the good guys. Their government anyway is not the good guys, but I think it's the Russian people that I have a lot of respect for, because my dear Ada was such a nice and wonderful and intelligent and bright person, extremely bright, very powerful. And it was weird because I didn't see it coming. I straight up didn't see it coming, and neither did she. But one thing led to another, and we got talking online because she saw my YouTube channel, and then we started talking on the phone. And I didn't expect it, but it just happened. As I've explained, I've explained a lot of this at my channel. You can go back and watch that movie. It just happened, so I kind of explained it a little bit more. But that time happened while I was here at Warner Club Villa, which is in Warner Center Park in Woodland Hills here. It's a suburb of Los Angeles, in case you're not familiar with it. And I really lucked out on getting this place. It was a wonderful place. It has some problems. For instance, there's a guy with a machine below for some reason that when he turns it on, the whole wall shakes, and then you can hear this buzzing sound. You may hear it as I'm talking. So far, it hasn't happened yet, but my girlfriend and I are complete opposites. She likes to keep everything zipped up. I mean, don't talk about anything. And I like to blab it to, as the reptilians know. I blab it to the world. They're not too happy with me, I can tell you that. I wouldn't be either, but you know what? If they were acting a little bit better, maybe I would agree to keep my mouth shut. But while you're chemtrailing and all this other crap going on, and poison food, and water, and oppression, and everything else, government screwing you 24 hours a day, killing people all the time, foreign wars that make no sense and the people don't want, but we're forced into it, fake education, fake news, everything is out to get you. You're oppressed. The people are miserable and unhappy, and they're getting to the point where who knows, it could be an uprising now because of the presidential BS that's going on. So I'll go ahead and give them a little grief, which is to tell people about them. And who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I have always kept my mind open to that maybe God wouldn't have me do that. But you know what? They made an enemy out of me. So as far as I know, and as far as I know, God hasn't reproved me for that. But maybe there's been reproofs that I've gotten that I didn't figure out for a year. Like God was telling me that God was giving me a message, breaking my arm for attending the car show. And I thought it was just for attending the car show, but it was actually a Sunday morning when church was. And it took me a year to figure out that it was because everybody else was in church. And not so much that I wasn't following the tradition, because the scripture says, for instance, for the Holy Spirit, that I will not sit in the congregation of evildoers. But it does say that, but what happened was I was thinking in my mind that it was kind of like, see all those idiots in church, and I'm hanging out at the car show, Satan's car show, oh boy. That's kind of what it was, honestly, in my mind. I think that's kind of like my demons, that were executing that, so I got a reproof for that. So altogether, I just want to say that actually I am really grateful for this time here. It's just been awesome. There's been some hard moments too, but I mean, given that I had been homeless for 5 years straight, literally 5 years of living on the street every single night, sleeping on the street with cars zooming by, and you never know when someone's going to rat on you or throw something at me or vandalize my RV, and I got driven out of every place. It really is. It's not recommended. I think that family takes in family. That's just me. But maybe it's I'm expectations are too high, and you just, you have to provide for yourself. And I just never was good at it. No matter what I think of, no matter what I try, it's not like I don't try. I mean, if I could get a job or I could pay rent, and just put in my resume and everything, but I just don't. Somehow either I don't qualify, or I won't do it, or I can't do it, or something happens or whatnot. Or the bottom line, as some people might say, like my brother told me, he says, you don't want anybody telling you what to do. And that sounds rather simple. And my immediate reaction is, what do you care? I know how to take orders. Come on, I've been in the military. But actually, he has that point. Maybe it's that the real truth is, you're fooling yourself about what the reasons are, but the real truth is I don't like anybody telling me what to do. Could be. But in any case, it's made, if I didn't have the disposition that I do, then I couldn't have contributed what I have, which I have reason to believe has some value. Maybe not a lot, maybe not, grand, or maybe it's, some sort of, great ministry or whatever. But the fact that I was able to talk about this, and a lot of people were at least the seeds were planted, because I think a lot of people, as Corbett says, he says that he calls them normies. James Corbett of the Corbett Report channel on YouTube. He says he calls them normies. A lot of normies are that see what I had to say about that, with the gangs talking helicopters and everything, and the reptilians and all. They're not going to believe that whole thing, but the seeds might be planted for them to begin to realize that, hey, some of this actually might be going on, because it is going on, and one day it's going to be known. But especially also probably in the midst of the tribulation, who knows, maybe some of this starts to get revealed, and people start realizing, because it seems like God's word says, I'm not sure about this, but that he's going to unleash hell on the earth in a way. There's going to be an opening up of the domains, and some of the creatures from hell. I think that it could be what the Antarctica thing is. That's why they're all going down there and looking at the relics and everything. Can you believe how they're keeping that all secret? I mean, it is absolutely outrageous. If there is evidence of non-humans or ancient cultures or something, and they won't tell the world about that, and the Smithsonian and everything. This is what I don't like about the reptilians. Everything has to be secret, because they don't want humans to know anything about non-humans, or what happened in ancient history, or if there's extraterrestrials or anything like that. They won't even disclose the information. It's a crime. And this is why I didn't vote in this election, because I don't believe it. I think a real, honest President of the United States would come up and say, okay, I looked into the ET thing, and here's what the story is. We're all on a meat farm, and whatever. And tell us the truth about 9/11, and not be I'm gonna break out the National Guard to make sure that those vaccines are distributed. So we got the military behind it. Everybody be sure. And now that you can't buy tickets from Ticketmaster unless you get the vaccine or something, or you have an approval from the thing if you have the COVID or not, and then they have a identification bracelet. So we're headed straight into 1984 dystopian, except worse than that, as a lot of people are commenting. And the thing is, as I made a movie about, why is this happening? I think it's because of sin. If we weren't ourselves capitulating to sin as an overall society, we would have stood up as righteous men a long time ago and said, "What? This BS? The heck no!" And really stand up. But we're going to get herded as cattle. Everybody's cowering. Everybody's saying, "Whoa, okay," and everybody's watching their fake news and dutifully putting on their mask, even though when it's hot out and you're breathing your own air and walking around and getting your exercise with the mask on and everything. So November 25th, I'm out, and I'll be on the road since then, and we'll see. Now with the eviction on my record, it's going to be pretty tough to rent again, but that's even assuming I have the money plus the over $1,000 that I owe DWP, the water and power, and all the other money they owe to the gas company and that you see burning here, and I'm not paying for my bill, because what they did was they continued everybody, they kept it on for everybody even if you didn't pay, and I didn't have a dime to pay. So I'll owe that, and the plus $400 that I owe for the ISP companies. So yeah, that's what I'd have to pay all back if I'm going to move in someplace else, and that's even if I can rent with an eviction on my record. You can try to explain that, hey, there was a pandemic going on and I lost my shirt, but might be tough because there's a lot of people looking for the same unit and they do not have an eviction on their record. So we'll see how it goes, But like I said, actually, I don't regret it, man. It was an awesome time, especially because, like I said, I experienced something that I hadn't experienced before. When I turned 50 years old, I fell in love for the first time, and I just didn't think that was going to happen. But amazing things happened, and and I met amazing people, friends, people in Thailand. Even Buddhists, but all kinds of people. I met a policeman and made a good friend, and it was and another priest, and then a chief priest, and these people are entirely excellent, and they were friends with Anna, and God, it was an amazing year. I have it all the key emails from it, and some pictures, but I can't make a movie about it. I've been asked not to make a movie about it, just to let you guys know, and because there are, shall we say, extraordinary elements and people that don't want those elements publicly revealed. They did say that I could write a book eventually about it, so they could say I can write a book about it, but apparently there's a difference between writing a book and getting up on social media and making a video about it. So yeah, there's that, and I don't know whether I will or not. I really haven't decided, but there really is a novel in it. I mean, just because there were biblical type miracles that occurred, and other things that I think probably only real Jesus Christ immersed, Holy Spirit following people would believe. But just amazing. I mean, it happened to me while I was here, and then I met somebody, and it's amazing how I realized that when you're talking with somebody over the phone, there's a spiritual connection that you're making with that person, and you can feel who they are. And I just love my Anna, and and she loves me, and that's what was really so amazing. Because I mean, if I fell in love with her, that would have been amazing in and of itself. But she fell in love with me, and it was so wonderful to have somebody really love me for who I am. She knew who I was. She knew everything about me. She, and because I really shared everything. But it was interesting. She's a psychic, I'll tell you that, and she can read people, and she can know everything. She that's why she was. I'll tell you this about her, okay? And I don't want to spend too much time talking about her, but she was working with the police because she can take one look at a picture and identify who is a criminal and what they've done just by looking at a picture. So she was employed both in Russia and in Thailand to find people that have done bad stuff, and so she was working with them. Now this is kind of a movie connection thing, but if any of you have seen the series, the vampire series Twilight, and if you're familiar with that series, you will know that the female lead, and she, the vampire that was her consort, ended up being her vampire boyfriend. But one of his powers was he has the ability to read people, read their minds, and know everything that they're thinking. And this is a common psychic trait that a lot of people have. But in any case, in that series, for some reason he couldn't read Bella, the female lead, and he said, you're a mystery. Well, my Anna could read everybody else and see them. She could see them and see everything about what they've done. With me, it was a blank. She couldn't see anything. So it was almost the same exact thing. Kind of interesting. And I really couldn't figure out what that means unless if you follow the Twilight series all the way, which I did. Luckily they had it for cheap and I could buy it. It ends up that Bella is is a shield. That's her talent. She's a shield, so she can shield other people using like a projected power to shield them from the power of other vampires that have psychic powers that can do stuff. So who knows? Maybe I'm a shielder person. Somehow that'll develop later. But I don't have, as far as I know, I don't have any kind of powers like that. And she was able to see that she was the one who said that there's no virus, and told me that because she said she was psychic, and she said right from the beginning, there's no virus, and I'm telling you there's no virus, and I didn't believe it. I'm sorry, there's too much evidence. There's a virus. I think there's a virus. 6 months, but after 6 months go by, I just finally said, okay, and I don't know, but just to be clear, I have not decided anything. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I found myself willing to believe in what she was saying, and so that, and again, I really don't know. But I will add one detail to this that a lot of people, as I should make a separate movie about this, but if you've been following my channel, you knew that I got COVID-19 starting March 20th. Interestingly, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So 7 months later to the day, on October 20th, I got a relapse. It was, I don't know if I got it from walking outside, because I had been walking outside recently without my mask. I don't know if it was that, and I was thinking that, like, not so much that it's a disease, maybe it is, but it's a demon that goes around and has justification to give people the plague if they're not complying with Satan's world mandate order for people to wear masks and so forth, and then those people who don't do it will be punished. I don't know, all speculation. But in any case, I for one night, I didn't get it nearly as bad. It's like 1/5 as bad as the original one that I got in March. But it was bad, and for one night, I was really hurting bad. And I even wept a little bit out of pain and fear about it, not knowing how bad it was going to get. And since then, I have also, now it's almost a month later, and I do still have some lingering symptoms of pain in my right lung, and I only at that relapse got some pain in my lungs. So we still don't know what the whole people. Not that much time has gone by. We don't know. Maybe they are raising more hell about this than what we think, that they're raising too much, but actually it may have long-term consequences that we don't know about. And there's been a lot of people reporting that there are lasting symptoms like COVID toes, like a slight discoloration of toes. I got that because your body is not getting as much oxygen, and I have been feeling a lot worse. And I don't know, because I was also partially sick before, and it was a digestive problem. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it zaps my energy. It's hard to digest food a lot of times. Sometimes I have to lie down, so my energy is a lot less. But that was all going on before, when I was homeless, living on the street before that. But it got worse as I was living here. It progressed, and so now it's not good. I'm a little bit beleaguered from that, and that's another thing that's kind of scary about hitting the road right now. It's funny, I was hospitalized twice while I was here. Once because I was so weakened, once from the COVID, but one time I got really sick. I didn't know what it was, but it was something hit me with my digestion. I felt like I was going to die, and so I had the ambulance people come here again. Oh, God, crazy. But in any case, it's all in the Lord's hands, and if the Scripture says, if you are saved, not a hair on your head will perish. And I was just surprised about how afraid I got while I was having that experience, and I think it's a problem that I have to work through. It's like I have a lot of fear, but we all have something that we have to work through. So these types of things can be expected, and we know that we're going to have tribulation in the world while we're here. But I'll never forget the great times that I had here. Especially, I got to buy a really cool camera. I'm filming on it right now, and it's and walking around and knowing that there's a girl who loves me and I love her, and it doesn't feel like I'm alone anymore, even though because of the pandemic we couldn't meet together to see each other, and now things are, I don't want to talk about it too much, but I don't know if I'll see her again. There was things that have happened, and I'll put it in the book, I guess. Like I said, I can't talk about it too much, but amazing stuff. I mean, like biblical, man. That's all I can tell you. But this and that happened, and I don't know if I'll see her again. And I hope I do, but things happened, and I can't talk about it too much. But she had to go, and she may not be coming back. I don't know. So that's kind of where things are right now. So, but even so, I'm grateful for what happened. If this was as far as we got, and this was all we had, it was beautiful and wonderful, and it did last for about a year, maybe a little bit less, because we fell in love sometime while I was staying here, and then some time passed. But I made amazing new friends, all of which are scattered to the wind now with the COVID-19 and other things that happened. And it seemed like there was a time there where I was I was like the ghost man in the picture. All the action was happening in Thailand, and I was like the ghost man in the picture. But I did do a lot. There's a lot of things that I affected. I got autonomy. I hate to brag here, but I got autonomy for the monastery because of a talk that I had with a certain a person, but I can't explain more about that, but a person that had some influence, and and then some other things that I did to help things, and as far as I know, I didn't mess too much up, and but I'm also there is a monastery in Thailand which my picture and name are registered there as being somehow part of, I don't know how they register things there. I don't know what all that included, but it was because of this wonderful relationship that I had with this elder master priest, a Buddhist priest. And this man was absolutely incredible. And I wasn't able to convey this, but he passed on actually in an effort to help my Anna. And he heroically and amazingly and voluntarily gave his life to help her. And I tried to get a message to his men at the monastery there, who I also had kind of a, loose relationship. I knew some of the people that were there, but I considered them friends and allies and just great and wonderful people. And these guys are brave. They're skilled. They fought battles against all kinds of stuff. They fought with my Anna, where she got twice shot while she was up on a horse, and there was a big old battle of 500 guys against 500 guys. It was a big old fight, and it was just amazing. And all this stuff happened, and so I wanted to tell them, because they still think that their master is coming back. And he's not. Master Amprochat is his name, and but he passed on gloriously, and so this is my chance to say that. Maybe I should make a separate announcement in a video, but I would tell any of those guys that are watching that he gloriously passed into the next life, and I heard from another source that in the other realm, his body is passed. He's passed on from he won't be coming back in the body that he was in, but he's going to be coming back again, and as somebody else, or maybe as somebody else. But what I heard was he's picking out his successor to lead the monastery in the afterlife realm. I heard that from a source that I was able to trust, shall we say, because there are things and powers and stuff happening here, friends, that we can't always talk about, because we've been asked by those powers not to talk about them, because there's some things that we're not supposed to reveal. But what I can tell you is that there are some authorities, and they have amazing information that you folks just would be totally blown away about what all has happened. And the icing on the cake for me was that I I finally got to feel what it was like to fall in love. Richard the man falls in love with the most wonderful Russian woman you could possibly imagine. And I can just tell you, one thing I'll say about Trump is that, if he picked out a Russian wife, he did well for himself, because they're amazing, wonderful people. And I mean, I was amazed at that I could have this kind of relationship with someone, because I'm generally not a big people person, and I think probably she's a lot more of a people person than I am. But with her, it was like, wow, just like a real connection. And we do kind of fight sometimes, and like I told you, she says I talk too much, and she also made me laugh really hard one time when we were talking, and so I was asking her, I said, what, we were kind of butting heads again, and I said, well, what did I do wrong? What do you have against me? And she says, oh, I have a whole list of stuff that I'm waiting for to hit you with, as far as what you're doing wrong. And I totally cracked up and laughed at that, because it was just so funny. Like she's saving up all this stuff about stuff that's wrong with me. But in any case, because everybody's got their flaws. She's very intellectual too. So, but in any case, it's just amazing how all of a sudden it was me who figured. I was the one who initiated. Because it was at a moment. I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you this. What happened? I thought that she might not make it. In fact, there's been like 5 times now when I thought that she was going to die. And that would have been it. On one of those occasions, when I thought that she might not make it, I realized there was something on the back of my consciousness, and it started to formulate my mind, but I couldn't really. I thought, she may pass on any time now, because and I don't know if she's gonna live. And I said, I want to give her something. And I realized that I loved her. And so I decided to tell her. And when I was telling her this, because she's not over here seeing everything that I do and everything. So I said, I said, while we were talking, I said, well, I did actually meet somebody. And I think that I love her. And she said, oh, well, who is it? And where did you meet them, or how long have you known them? And I said, well, it's somebody I've met recently. And she still said, oh, well, tell me about her. And I said, well, she's Russian. And at that point, she knew. I said, and I don't know. She said, oh, really? She's Russian? And I said, Anna, it's you, okay? And she said, oh. And then in that same conversation, as we were talking, and I was telling her, and she said, well, why do you love? I said, I don't know why. I've never been in love before. I don't know how to explain this. And she said, well, what do you love about it? I don't know. I don't know. It's a girl's voice I'm hearing every day, because we were talking every day, because she was blind. She got blinded by that attack from Satan. And and she's staying at the monastery, and she's the only woman inside an all traditional male monastery, an ancient monastery. They don't allow women in there, but she was allowed in there, and given a name, Jerua, above all. It's quite interesting. And I said, I don't know. And then finally, in that same conversation, she says, I think I love you. And we just started talking about it, and I oh yeah, you do? Really? Because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I didn't know if she loved me, because we had said anything like that to each other. And then the more we talked, the more we opened up to each other, and more we shared about each other, in those conversations. And we became best phone buds, even though because of the pandemic and everything, I was actually, the pandemic hadn't struck yet for a while, but I didn't have the money to come over there. And now I regret I could have probably borrowed it or put on a credit card and come over there. But I don't know. See, the thing is now I don't know if being trapped there would have been a really bad situation because they were exporting or deporting people and stuff. I don't know what would have happened. But I do now kind of regret not going over there. But I take that in the context that God has a purpose for everything. So I know that there's a reason why things were happening the way they did. So you don't, have these huge regrets, because God would move you any way that He wanted to move you for what needs to happen. And it may be that it's not our time to be together. And the Lord may not have given us any days together under the sun. But He did give us to meet and connect and to feel that feeling the way we did. And to me, it was completely awesome. It is awesome because now I know that there was someone that I loved and that I fell in love with, and it's an incredible, deep feeling. It's just such a profound feeling. I don't know if you've ever felt it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have, but if you haven't, it's an amazing. It's a spiritual connection somehow, and I tell you, just the amazing stuff has come with it. This whole thing, it's just been utterly mind blowing, as you'll see if I ever get around to writing a novel about it. But it's I'm grateful for this time, and if I have to go out and be homeless again, well, that's no big surprise to me. I never last anywhere too long, so I had a great time. I'm still sorry I had to suffer an eviction for that, but it's my fault. Like I said, I made two big mistakes, and this guy, he's probably an individual renter. This place is an individual place. It's not like a big complex where they can absorb the cost and everything else. So, he did what he had to do, and I'm not gonna hold it against him too much about that. I don't think he was too wrong. I do wish he could have warned me, and I would have moved out. In fact, I would have probably moved out 3 or 4 months ago after the main scare of the whole thing was over. But it is what it is, and it happened the way it happened, and maybe this is how it needed to happen, and I trust the Lord. I'm on the road that the Lord set me on. I'm on the path that He has planned for me, and my sin will deserve its punishment, and my doing the works that I should be doing as an unprofitable servant will hold me in what stead it will hold me, and we'll see.